And the last big company that I worked for was Time Warner, big media company, and they put me in charge of $500 million at the age of 28. And I thought they were crazy. And of course, I thought I was the imposter and all of that. But I was like, okay, I'm just going to get this done. I'm going to do it. But I remember thinking, they put out a press release, with my last name saying de Bonvoisin named managing director of $500 million fund. And it came out in the Wall Street Journal. It came out on Bloomberg. But I remember that day, and I was pretty depressed that day. And I was like, this is really odd to me, because that should be most people's epiphany of just big press release, big job, Wall Street Journal. And I was like, something's really wrong here. It's the wrong press release. That's what I thought. I was like, this is the wrong press release. Like, my name should not be attached with these words in this company. And it felt at the time, and we're talking, 25 plus years, it felt more like my name should have something to do with contribution or opening schools or hospitals or giving back or stuff. It didn't feel like it was the right press release. And I stayed home that day. My assistant fielded calls, and I was just like, wow, this is the beginning, right? Then it took me 2 years, sometimes it takes that long, to sort of allow that seed of questioning. It wasn't even a seed of doubt. It was sort of question more than doubt or fear. I didn't hate the job. I loved the company. It was fun. I was investing in startups. So it was tricky because there was lots of ticks and lots of good. And I was a female partner in venture capital, but it never went away, and it was the beginning to me of going, is my mind going to make the decisions in my life, or is my intuition going to make the decisions in my life? And my mind had been in first place the entire way through until around 30, which is kind of when I started thinking about making this decision. But to be very specific, every morning without fail, which is when my intuition speaks the loudest. For some people, it's in the middle of the night. Mine, it's first thing in the morning. And it would say, Ariane, you're in the wrong job. It was horrible. It was horrible. And then it would say, Ariane, you're sleeping with the wrong guy. It was horrible. And I was just like, oh my God, my entire life that I think I've set up so beautifully and perfectly it's not that it was wrong. It's just, I could feel from an essence that I was doing these things, but they were not really what I came here to be doing or who I came here to be with, as my beloved. And I was engaged, had the big job. It looked like, my life was set. And from that moment on, it took me, a few more months to really go, okay, am I really going to blow this all up? It's not going to make sense to anyone, including myself. And then the final tipping point, because I feel there's always a final tipping point, is I started getting some skin issues. I started getting eczema, which I've never had before. I've been a vegetarian, ran the New York Marathon a bunch of times. Like I was healthy, but I started getting these like red kind of inflamed skin issues. And I was like, ooh, this is one more way that my body is trying to communicate to me. And it was just like, I was sufficiently in touch with my body that I was like, I'm allergic to my life, allergic. I'm allergic to my choices, the fire and the inflammation inside of, come on, you can do this. There's something else out there, was kind of coming through. So instead of smacking cortisone cream, shoving it back in, which is probably what any pharmacist would have told me, I really paid attention. And it was so bad one day, Mark, that I was in New York. I walked myself to the hospital, and it was so inflamed. There's no way I could have gone to work. And they put 2 drips into me. One was a steroid and antihistamine or something. One was probably one so I wasn't about to faint. And I remember being there going, this is insane. I have this unbelievably perfect life that people would die for. And here I am with 2 drips in a hospital by myself. And that's where I made the decision.